All right, next we're going to take a look at the Oakland Raiders Fantasy Football 2013. The Raiders will compete with the Jets for the least fantasy value on any NFL team. At the quarterback position, the Raiders got rid of last year's starter Carson Palmer, and with a trade with the Seahawks picked up Matt Flynn. Flynn's still riding the wave of that 6-touchdown game he had as a Packer starter at the end of the year in a completely meaningless game. Was lost out for the starting role to Russell Wilson in Seattle last year and spent the entire year on the bench. Early looks in camp don't say much about the improvement of Matt Flynn or that the Raiders are happy to really have him, but he is backed up by Terrell Pryor, so the Raiders better hope that Matt Flynn is at least half as good as his one performance in Green Bay, because Terrell Pryor has no talent whatsoever to play the quarterback in the NFL. At running back, you've got the usual man crush on Darren McFadden, always hoping against hope that this is the one year McFadden doesn't get hurt, only to be crushed when the inevitable happens and he's hurt again. McFadden is going around 12-13 as a number 12 or 13 as a running back, which puts him solidly in the back half of the second round, early in the third. That's about where he should be. He's got too much talent that if by some miracle he does stay healthy, you've got a great player on your hands, but you just can't rely on him at all, so he ends up going in that same category as Lamar Miller, who's got a little bit of a question mark surrounding him, or people like Reggie Bush, who you know what you're going to get, and it's just okay. Beyond that, Rashard Jennings is the backup to McFadden, but he was terrible for the Jaguars last year. There's no reason to believe this year he'll be any good either. I would, in fact, expect Marcel Reese, who was very good as a backup to the running backs, moving from the fullback spot to take over for McFadden if he gets hurt. Reese caught a lot of passes and averaged almost 5 yards a carry last year. He'll still catch a lot of passes even if McFadden stays healthy. But Reese does have some fantasy value, certainly more than Rashard Jennings would as a backup. At wide receiver, you've got Rod Streeter, Jacoby Ford, and of course Denarius Moore. Moore is the best of the three wide receivers. If he can stay healthy, he's probably going to catch 70-75 passes and maybe 5-6 touchdowns as a solid receiver. Caught 7 last year. He might easily catch that as well. And again, that puts him in the solid 7th-round category. Ford doesn't get drafted. Streeter is one of those guys you look for a matchup. He's not going to be drafted, but might have some value in certain games as a waiver wire pickup. No tight ends really worth looking at for the Raiders. They're really weak in that position. Defense and special teams. The defense was awful last year. It can't help but go up this year, but it's still not going to be good and not worthy of your consideration for drafting. Sebastian Janikowski may be the best kicker in the NFL. The Raiders aren't going to score a lot of points. He's going to once again get a lot of 40-plus yard field goal attempts. He's got the great leg. It hasn't weakened in his years in the NFL. He still can nail them from 50 yards plus, and is, I would say, one of the top 5 kickers in the NFL, and probably the Raider outside McFadden with the most fantasy value. So again, don't worry about the quarterback spot, tight end spot, or the defense for the Raiders. At running back, McFadden, early 3rd round, mid-3rd round at the latest. Marcel Reese might have some value as a handcuff type of pick late in the draft. Rod Streeter, Jacoby Ford, don't worry too much about drafting, but Denarius Moore will probably go around anywhere from round 7 to round 11. And Janikowski is one of the top kickers in the NFL.